Hey, what's up guys? The Explanation Pro is here. Today, I'll explain a war drama movie, The Lost Strait. Spoilers incoming. The movie begins with two men by the Des River talking about two older men who stand a couple feet away. They're betting over what their topic is and what should the other get if they were right about their guess. It's between 1 noogie or 10 slaps. As we get closer to the two older men, we hear Aziz talking about getting a gift for Majid's engagement, a low-priced one in case the engagement doesn't push through. Khalil tells Aziz that they need to be quick and is hurrying him along. They go back to the younger ones with Khalil repeating himself that he needs to get back. Hassan nogs him about what he and Aziz were talking about, revealing the noogie bet he and Majid are in. Khalil finally bids his goodbye, wishing Majid and Hassan well, but Hassan asks him if he won't be giving them a ride. Khalil asks if they brought their luggage with them. They get into an argument with Aziz offering to give the other two a ride instead, but Hassan doesn't believe Khalil, since if he really was rushing then he should have left already. They bring up borrowing money from friends with Hassan, and Khalil getting into it, while Majid watches in amusement. Khalil brings up that Hassan's brother called, and Aziz tells Khalil off for bringing it up. Majid laughs because it's not part of the plan, but Khalil says he's tired of scheming, and there's nothing wrong with telling him directly. A voice is heard. It's a man calling for the division's deputy commander. Their battalion is being asked to go to the front line again. They just got back from several weeks of defense. Men are getting ready to go home to their families waiting in Tehran. But Iraq has crossed the border. They've crossed through many of the border posts using chemical weapons and have taken captives. They're needed but given the choice to accept the call or return home. Khalil and Aziz are talking. It seems Aziz wants the men to postpone their trip back home and join the fight with them. He thinks Khalil should try and convince everyone not to leave. Hassan is giving instructions to Ali to go room to room and tell everyone to write their names on their bags in case they're killed in the combat. Aziz is leaving Ali to Majid's care. Ali is the son of a friend of Aziz. His father had severed his spinal cord and has been bedstricken for 3 years now. His mom had trusted Aziz with him and Aziz promised that he'll be safe. But since they're going to the front line, he thinks it'll be best to help Ali, help Majid with those injured. Majid asks Ali why he wants to come along to the front line, and Ali explains that he wants to see the battle up close, take photos, and help him carry the injured. Majid asks him if he has any idea of what it means to carry the injured, but Ali tells him that he'll learn along the way. Majid instructs Ali to get a chemical mask and show him how to wear it because he believes Ali doesn't realize how important his role is. Majid and Hassan get into an argument as Aziz had borrowed some money to help Hassan and his family. Hassan doesn't want it, but Majid is insisting he takes it. He argues that he doesn't even know the people where the money came from, but Majid brushes it off, saying that they don't know who's the money for. Hassan finally relents and tells Majid to stop making a scene so he can say his goodbyes. Majid hits him on the head, and Hassan asks him what it's for. He smiles and tells him that the bet was a noogie. Those who are willing to go back to the front line are climbing inside a dump truck. Khalil and Aziz are hurrying everyone while Hassan goes around to say his goodbye. Before leaving, everyone poses for the camera. On their way to the front line, they pass by soldiers who are returning, many of them bloodied and injured. They also see hundreds of people who are driven out of their homes, bringing with them what they could grab. Many of them are crying children and tired women, all looking traumatized. Khalil scolds the men who are gawking at those returning, telling them that these soldiers are already humiliated and staring at them won't help. Ali starts talking about how these soldiers should fight until their dying breath, and that if the enemy was using chemical weapons, why can't they do the same? Khalil calls for him and asks him if he is a soldier or a judge who issues verdicts. Ali tries to defend himself, but Khalil, Majid, and Aziz admonish him further. He doesn't know what's to come and shouldn't judge those who are returning. They return into a traffic jam and the men try to figure out what they need to do to get moving. They find Hassan, who has followed them by hitching a ride on top of someone's car and who's carrying a child he found by the side of the road. He calls for Aziz, who asks him to help move a car that has broken down and blocked the road. After they push it aside, Hassan instructs Ali to make a place for all the kids who lost their parents close to the free food booth. We see a couple of people with painful looking boils all over their bodies and faces, the result of chemical weapons used. A small mountain of clothes and shoes were haphazardly thrown to the side, most likely by the same people who were greatly affected by the chemicals and couldn't stand anything on their skin. Getting a relief bag, Ali goes to assist Majid as he's working on redressing the wound of an injured soldier. Majid asks Ali if he brought his camera, but Ali had left it back on the dump truck. Majid then tells him if he finally understands why they don't use chemical weapons and that he should take photos of what he detests too. After loading the injured soldier to a helicopter on their way back to the temporary shelter, people are running and panicking as a couple of jets flying low passes by. Aziz is instructing everyone to start moving, grabbing Ali when he notices the guy is standing in shock, watches the jets, Bombs starts dropping from the jets as everyone starts scrambling for safety. Majid and Hassan yelling for everyone to head towards the moor. Khalil orders everyone in the dump truck to start jumping off. They're traveling again. Khalil and Majid are talking about their memories of Aziz. It seems Aziz was one of their fatalities during the attack. Ali asks them why they're so indifferent. Majid asks him if he hears what they're saying, but Khalil tells him that if he can't since his ears are still whistling after being so close to an explosion. Hassan pipes up and talks about wanting to thank Aziz for collecting the money his family needed. He expresses his regret for putting it off for so long that he thanked him too late. Khalil gets upset with him, telling him that they're only supposed to talk about memories. Now, they must be upsetting Aziz for sharing their misery instead. Ali talks to Hassan first, then Majid because Khalil refuses to take him to the front line now. He accuses Majid of being the reason why Khalil doesn't want to take him anymore. Majid answers that Aziz was asked by his mother to take care of him. If something happens, Aziz won't evoke good memories for her. Rahim is looking for a car they can use to carry equipment to the front line. He approaches another man who just arrived and tells him to leave the key as they'll use his car. The man ignores him. When he finally replies, he answers that the car was officially handed over to him and that he won't give it to anyone. Hassan talks to the man with the car while helping him fuel up his car. He tells him that they're mad over a doctor, Saddam's mom's doctor to be exact, because he had convinced Saddam's mom not to abort him, which is why they're going through misery right now. Instead of moving forward, everyone would be staying, in case the enemy passes the strait that they were supposed to head to. Reza doles out orders and asks everyone to get ready. He turns back to Khalil who asks him how they'll fight him off without artillery and that they'll be wiped out in the morning. Reza answers that they can't just watch the enemy pass the strait, and what else can they do? Khalil calls for Ali to say goodbye. Before leaving, he assigns him to assist Habib instead. Majid and Hassan bid him their goodbyes as well. Habib calls for Ali to move a box of canned goods. He trips and drops the box he's holding, and Habib scolds him. Ali talks about his bed-stricken father, which is why he's not out playing like a boy should, and sarcastically apologizes to Habib. While Majid is shoveling through the rubble, a man runs up to him to let him know that Ali went against Khalil's order and joined the procurement guys to the front line. Majid goes to talk to Ali, who tells him that Habib had allowed him to see the front line, but will return with him. As Majid is talking and Ali is trying to answer, a bomb goes off close to them. In a daze, Majid starts calling for Ali while helping a newly injured soldier he passed by. Running around, Khalil is yelling for everyone to go to the canal while looking for both Majid and Hassan. Hassan finds Ali, who's trying to crawl under a truck. He grabs him and tries to calm the boy down. Majid runs into Khalil and tells him that Ali had come to the front line. Reza calls for Ismail, Khalil and Sharifi to give them further instructions. He tells Ismail to take his men to the end of the canal and turn up on the enemy's right flank. Khalil, on the other hand, will need to go to the left side of their flanks, while Reza will go near the road to make it to the moor. This way, they're hoping the pressure to the strait will be reduced. At the end of the canal, Majid hears Ali yelling. He finds both Hassan and Ali. Khalil calls for Hassan so that they can move towards the enemy's machine gun barricade. Hassan instructs Ali to go after Majid instead. Stealthily and bravely, Hassan heads for one of the machine gun barricades on his own, since Khalil will be going after another. After hitting a tank with a rocket-powered grenade, Khalil gets shot in the arm. Ali is searching for bandages, while Hassan aims and shoots at a tank. Majid tells Ali that everybody should stick together, and that nobody should be left behind. Ali tells him that he saw two injured men behind, so they go to get them. While they're running and carrying someone, Majid gets hit on the arm as well. Hassan asks for Ali's help, handing him a gun and telling him to cover Hassan. Reza tells Khalil that the enemy's tanks have stopped, and they're no longer advancing. Khalil answers that they weren't expecting many casualties on their end as well. Reza informs him not to engage if they start again, as they're planting mines on the road and the canal's edge. Khalil shares that he hears everybody's voices in his head, all of them thirsty. He wishes he won't remember anything. They're debating whether or not the enemy will advance. Khalil thinks that they've had too many casualties. Majid thinks that it doesn't matter and that it won't deter them. They ask Ali what he thinks. He says he doesn't know, but Hassan encourages him to share if he knows something. The three men start reminiscing what they were doing the day before back at the Des River, having a drink and ice creams. Khalil finally remembers the valve, and Majid tells him that he's sure someone would fix it after all. The tanks are advancing. Hassan hits another tank. Majid is running while carrying an injured soldier and placing him next to the others. Ali is shooting the gun Hassan has given him, covering for the soldiers who are carrying the injured ones. Khalil, running with his men, targeting the tanks, gets shot in the chest. Hassan is freaking out because Davud got shot in the legs and he wants to get to him. Majid is trying to calm him down, promising him that they'll get to him. The enemy's retreating. The tanks and soldiers are backing away. We see Majid trying to help another soldier, but he gets shot in the head and falls over. Khalil takes his last breath next to a tank, alone and helpless. For his safety, Hassan is tied and bound, unable to move and in shock. The movie ends with Ali making his way back with the injured soldiers. Not one of the men who tried to protect him survived. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.